We are in the front yard. A regular episode today.
When we're in the front yard, is the grass really green and it's warm outside and we just watch the neighbors walk by and the horses.
Those people watching.
It's nice.
Yeah, very peaceful, happy. You might see a dog or two, kid on a bike. Good vibes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. And we are all here together.
Look at the gang all back together.
The gang's all here. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum,
Sing it.
Bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. Hail, hail, the gang's all here.
Is that a real song?
I do believe it.
Why'd you make that face?
I don't know. Did I make a face?
Yeah.
Hi, guys. So, Morgan, what do you have for us this evening?
Well, as we just went to Costco and got some gas, I put together a little theme for us.
Mm-hmm. And the theme is?
Where's the bar? Is the bar low? Does it need to be raised?
Well,
Raise the bar? Lower the bar? Hit the bar? Where's the bar?
So, and what does it really mean when you lower the bar or raise the bar? Because I look at a bar two different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when you raise the bar, you make it tougher for somebody. You make it a tougher person to get past the bar. However, when you lower the bar as you are doing, like, what is it called? Limbo dancing.
Okay.
You lower that bar, it's tough.
Yeah, no, in this context, if the bar is low, your standards might not be very good. You might be doing yourself a disservice.
One may equate the level of the bar to standards.
Yes, we like to raise our standards, not lower our standards.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. I say to everybody, raise your standards globally.
Yeah. The phrase, the bar is low, means that the standard or expectation for something is not very high.
Well, I think that we should have at least if it's up to a level 10, no one should be lower than a level 5.
Okay, yeah. So, where's the bar? We're going to find out today, guys. I might think the bar's low, but you might say it's fine and average, and that's what it takes here. A village to come through for these people.
So Dad's going to say, honey, raise the bar a little bit.
Maybe.
Depends where your bar's at.
Yeah. Or, maybe their bar's too high.
I'm going to find out.
We're all going to find out. Let's do it.
Okay. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what we come up with.
Yeah.
Because I'm already here processing it.
Okay, well, buckle up.
In the future?
I'm just thinking about all the stuff and I'm going, yeah, but sometimes you can't really lower the bar. You should, define.
You can lower the bar. You can forget about the bar.
Let's go see it. Let's see what you got. We'll see where I come up with. We're going to be on number 1.
Hi, FKS fam. I'll get right into it.
You dig in.
I, 32 female, have been with my boyfriend, 29 male, for 2 years now, and each of us brought kids into the relationship. Prior to dating him, I had been married and then divorced, and he had never been married. At the beginning of our relationship, he would tell me he wanted to marry me or say things like, quote, when we get married, getting married again is something I've always wanted. My wedding from my first marriage had bad memories, and I want to get married and have something that lasts. Within the last year, when we've talked about it, my boyfriend has gone from, quote, we will when I'm ready, to seemingly not wanting to ever get married. He said he doesn't understand it, and it's just a piece of paper, and it's a headache if you divorce. Now he's basically saying he doesn't think he'll ever want marriage. I'm hurt for a few reasons. One, at the beginning, he told me he wanted to marry me, and now it's something he may never want. 2, it's something I've always imagined for myself. I don't know if it's a deal breaker because I truly love him, but it hurts when I know it may be something I'll never have. How do I deal with the feelings I have that this may never happen for me? Ideal outcome, to not carry the weight of this. Additional info, we already live together.
I have been on every side of this fence. And I have known people that have lived together for 30 years. And one of them wanted to get married, I guess, for 30 years. And finally, the other one acquiesced and said, let's get married. Took 30, I guess now they've been together for 40 years. Then you meet people like, I've gone out with someone and I thought in the very beginning that I would like nothing more than to marry this person. And then I said, no, and I would say it's not important, and I'd use the same line. But I do know that it's interesting how I've always wanted to have that feeling, to have that experience. And when I have that feeling, I know how deep I'm really into it. And I can't tell you that he's not into it because I'm not him. We just don't know what has turned him, off with this, what dynamic is going on. But it certainly needs to have a good discussion so you can really assess, is this going to be a permanent relationship or not?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this just his way of trying to sabotage it and drive it away? I don't know.
It's a really good question.
I think for a lot of guys, it's easy to say, oh, I want to get married one day. I want to marry you. I want to have kids with you. I want to do all this. And you kind of paint this, in the current time, this superficial picture of what the future is going to be. And I think a lot of times maybe it can be used as a strategy to not necessarily
To hook
lock
'em?
someone down,
To
but
hook 'em?
to get them really to be yours. And it does bond you in a way, I feel, when you agree that you both want to get married, because it shows that, oh, we both want this level of commitment.
Yeah,
We're
but
both this serious about each other.
But it sounds like he's then using it as a tool and a toy.
But I think sometimes it can be what you're saying. It can be, oh, I really wanted to when I first met you and now not so much. But then it's like, okay, just rip the Band-Aid off. Then we go back to that episode and it's like, well, just rip the Band-Aid off and get out of this thing if you don't want that.
That's right.
But I think a lot of times guys can say things like that. Oh, I want to marry you someday, just to make sure that they are locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And then when push comes to shove, oh, well, we've been together 2 years, our kids are integrated, our lives are intertwined. Well, now I'm going to pull back a little bit because I don't know if I really want to make that commitment now, but at least I have you and our whole family.
Yeah.
But that's bullshit.
It is. And here's where our writer really needs to decide. Was this love bombing? Was this, early on, oh, I want to marry you. I've been telling everyone about you. I see you as my soulmate. Like, there's phrases, love bombers, and people that use language like that to hook others. That's their go-to. I want to marry you. Was it that? Or did he truly mean it? And now that he, has gotten down the line, is he over it? He just doesn't want to get married anymore. He's scared about it. Or is it option 3?
And what is that?
He did mean it, but he's just happy and complacent and doesn't want to change the status quo and maybe doesn't want to go through a divorce and lose half and all these things. Like, you have to get to a point of determining his intentions. Is he ever going to get married? Does he want that? And if he doesn't want that, are you then willing to sacrifice what you want?
And what's his integrity?
I think people are allowed to change their minds.
Well, then she's allowed to change her mind about being with him too.
Absolutely. I mean, if marriage is something our writer really wants, and it hasn't said here, I don't know if it's a deal breaker yet. I don't know. If marriage is something you really, really want, you're only 2 years in. Like, that is a long time, but not the longest time. So if you want to find someone that is on the marriage, dating to marry mindset, they're on the same boat as you, it's the time would be now to start dating.
Is she wrong to say, something? I hear what you're saying. I respect the fact that you don't want to get married. But when we first started dating, this was a thing that you were selling.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it. And now I'm ready for this. And you're like 180 degree. I think I need to move on.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. I would have a conversation. I would say, this is something that's really important to me. it's hard because a lot of people feel a lot of different ways about drawing a boundary versus giving someone an ultimatum. And you don't want to give someone an ultimatum. You don't want to.
Well, it's not an ultimatum, is it?
No, but it could be a boundary, right? Like you either propose in the next month or I'm done. That would feel like an ultimatum versus getting married is really important to me. So if you determine that you don't want to get married anymore, I would appreciate knowing so then I can, make whatever decision I'm going to make. Yes. There's differences in how you do it, but you don't want to give someone an ultimatum in regards to marrying you. You want it to come from a good place.
I agree with that fully. I do. But I think the conversation that you are referring to, what is, where's your real fear in this? And can we address this fear with anything that we can both come out of this and feel happy that we are making our commitment?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I could be very happy being in love with somebody and not having the word marriage, enter into it. But when I think about it, do I really want it? Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think this writer will determine that. I mean, it is interesting. He said things, I want to marry you when we get married. And then kind of giving the excuse like, we will when I'm ready, which 2 years, like, I think it's fair to be like, well, when do you think? Like, what timeline are you on?
Morgan, he was ready 2 years ago. I want to marry you.
But it's more of a I want to marry you someday.
Yeah.
It's not like I want to marry you now.
I didn't hear the word someday. I heard the word I want to marry you. And that's probably what she heard. She probably heard, I want to marry you.
He wanted to marry me or say things like, when we get married, it's giving love bombing. So yeah.
Well, in the last question, like, how do I deal with the feelings? I don't think you ever need to deal with the feelings.
Mm-mm.
I think you need to decide what you ultimately want, because you shouldn't have to deal with the feelings of this.
No, you don't want to.
It's more, you either get married like you want, or like you were saying, no, this is too special and too great to let just a wedding take that away from me.
Yeah.
You got to, or marriage rather.
Yeah.
You got to you got to decide what you want internally, and then you go and deal with the situation, but not the feelings, because you shouldn't be like stuck with those feelings and then living with that forever with regret or
resentment,
or maybe it ends up being a deal breaker down the line, and then you regret then. So
you got to determine where your bar is, but you don't have to lower it if you don't want to.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Important for you.
That's what I wanted. My next question was, where are we going to go with the bar, kids?
I know. I mean, it is an interesting age for him. He's 29. I will say, like, Justin and I, we started really talking about marriage year 3, I would say. And then I was kind of like, I really want to be engaged. If we're together after, 5 years and we're still not engaged, like, that is something that would bother me, because there's certain things I want to accomplish in my life. And that's just something to be considerate of. And I didn't feel like that was ever an ultimatum. It felt like that was just us talking. But Justin had a lot of feelings around marriage. He was really scared about proposing and marriage just because of the relationships he's seen in his life. So that, maybe he's got some feelings there. But a conversation will surely sort this.
Don't lower your bar.
Moving on to number 2, but keep us posted. We want an update from you.
I really do.
Number 2.
Number 2.
I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend, 29 male, for 3 years, and we've been living together for about 6 months now. He's truly my best friend and my favorite person. I've never felt more supported, loved, or at ease in a relationship. We click on so many levels and really bring out the best in each other, except when it comes to cleanliness. He moved into my apartment, which I decorated and furnished myself. I've worked hard to make it feel like home, and it's something I take a lot of pride in. With grad school, 2 jobs, and supervision hours, my life is basically nonstop chaos. And having a clean, calm space is one of the few things that keeps me sane. While he's happy to help if I ask, It usually ends with me redoing things or feeling like I'm the only one actively keeping the place in order. This summer, I'll be moving to Baltimore for a 2.5-month internship at Johns Hopkins. He'll be staying in the apartment while I'm gone, and honestly, I'm nervous. He can get really careless, especially when drinking. We've had issues with him peeing the bed or couch, spilling wine on the furniture, damaging appliances, and not cleaning up messes unless prompted. I don't want to sound controlling, but I also don't want to come back to a destroyed apartment or feel like all the work I've put into creating a space I love went out the window while I was gone. Ideal outcome? I want to come back to a home that still feels like a home. Not perfect, not spotless, just respected. I want to trust that my stuff, especially the furniture and houseplants I love, won't be neglected or ruined. I want to express this to him without sounding like I'm being controlling or treating him like a child. I don't want to give him a chore list or rules, but I do want to be clear about my expectations. We have a really healthy, loving relationship, and I don't want this to create tension. But I also know that if I come home and everything's in disarray, it'll be really hard to not feel hurt or disrespected. And I honestly don't know if I'd be able to look past it. Additional info: I pay the majority of the rent and bills, around $3,000 a month, and he contributes $500, which I'm fine with. When we started dating, he lived in an apartment that was genuinely disgusting. He would agree. I think a lot of his current cleaning habits only exist because I've been around to model and prompt them. I have about 30 houseplants that I adore. He'll be responsible for them this summer, which low-key adds to my anxiety. I know these are just things and messes can be cleaned, but I've worked hard for the stuff in my space, and I just want him to care for it the way I would. This isn't about micromanaging. It's just about finding a way to communicate that this really matters to me, and I want to feel like it matters to him too. Thank you so much for reading this. I really appreciate it.
Who wants to go first? Not you. How about you? I was gracious. I asked.
Yeah, it was very kind. Very
All
kind.
right. So here's my question. I mean, you're dating this guy, and I'm sure that your end game is that people typically date, not everybody, but typically are together, hopefully to carry their relation to another level. And sometimes they even want to get married and have kids. Now, just imagine that that is your end game. And you decide to marry this guy, and you're in your home, and you get called away to Johns Hopkins on a 3-month adventure, and you're leaving your kids with your husband. And I think it's important that you do have this conversation with the mindset that we are a team, and I will always take care of our nest the way that you would want our nest to look like it looks now, because we've worked hard to get here. I know I certainly have worked hard. And I know that you will respect my want, my desire to come home and always have our home the way it should look, especially our kids. In this case, our kids are our plants. And I know you might take it, they're just plants. But I really want you to respect everything that I know, that I trust, that we are on the same level of what home should look like. And then if you come home and it's not looking that way, then you have a decision to make yourself. A, he doesn't get it, and he's not my guy, because my guy is going to get it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way you have to approach it and have that nice conversation. It's not one that you are being, a nag or bossy. You're saying that as a couple, I have an expectation, and I want to come home and have the peacefulness of our clean nest, because anything other than that is disarray. To me, shatters my nervous system. And I think you can legitimately say that from the way that you've articulated, how you react to chaos.
I feel the same way she does. I think when you have a clean space, it truly enables you to let go of all the busy craziness and just have that serene peace. And it's crazy how much of an impact that actually does have. I think a lot of guys, especially in his position, would say, oh, well, it's not a big deal. it's just a few things here I forgot, or just have little excuses, or, oh, I'll do it now. I'll take care of it. I was just going to, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily fully grasp how big of a deal this stuff really is over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think how you wrote this write-in isn't far off from the type of conversation I would have.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way you laid it out here, and you don't need all the details because you were trying to explain your whole situation to us, but the way you articulated everything in this made it very clear to me exactly what you're trying to communicate, how you're trying to communicate it. And I was on board. Like, I would understand that from the start. Oh, I get it. She needs this. And if he's in it to win it, he will understand that this is also like a bit of a framework of what she kind of hopes for in a partner and out of him. Mm-hmm. In that, okay, I can really, maybe I haven't been the greatest at this, but I can keep improving, and I can get to a point where she doesn't ever have this worry. And this trip is a very great big first step at that, to where she comes back, it's perfect. Maybe you could help him by making a little calendar or something, or a little reminder thing, because even when Morgan's gone and I need to feed the horses, I don't want to bother her whole trip being like, hey, what do they get tonight at this time? What do they get tomorrow at the noon feeding? And blah, blah, blah. It's helpful if it's just laid out and then I know my process. But then he could even send text to check in, like, watered the plants today, did this, and hope your trip's going well. I miss you, whatever. I just think it could be a really good place to start.
The things I would do for a time machine and to see with this one. I don't think he's going to step up. And I'll tell you why I'm getting that vibe. You guys have only been living together for 6 months. And when you ask him to do something, first of all, you have to ask. He's not just helping clean. He's not doing his weight as a roommate, as a partner. You have to prompt him. And you've only been living together for 6 months, and you've had issues with him peeing the bed or the couch, spilling wine on the furniture, damaging appliances, and not cleaning up messes unless prompted. And you again and again, you say, I don't want to sound controlling. I don't want to be a micromanager. You're not, but also at the same time, you're acting like his mom. He is portraying weaponized incompetence, where he does something bad if you do ask him to do it, so he doesn't have to do it again. How is he, in 6 months, how has he done all this? And 30 plants, I mean, I think those plants, I think you're going to come back and they're going to be dead. And I really hope not. I would love for me to be wrong. But I don't think you're going to get someone who cares about your space as much as you, or even half as much as you, when there's no investment from him in it. The furniture is yours. It's not his. So if he pees on it, no big deal.
I'm listening to this, Morgan. I'm blown away that this has been going on.
He is only paying $500 a month for rent, and you pay $3,000, but yet you're his maid. You're asking him to clean versus just, hey, like, can we be a little more balanced here? It's hard because I get with you. You're like, everything else is perfect. It's just this. But he didn't care about his own space, his living arrangement before. You said it was disgusting. And he moves into your nice place, and he's making a pigsty out of a palace. Like, he needs to grow up, and you're not his mom. So quit prompting. Honestly, this would be one of those things where I would let it get bad. I would let it get so bad, and it would be painful. But I think that is going to be the true testament of, will he notice? Will he finally step up? Because otherwise, this is going to be a lifelong battle for you guys. And I don't know how many times you can ask him or prompt him. I'd say one last really good conversation, and maybe the trip and your 2.5-month internship is the test. And if you come back and your plants are dead, there's your answer.
I think that the question really, the conversation is, I need to know that I am with a man a partner, someone that loves me, respects me, cares for me, I don't have to ask him to do this shit. He's already there doing it.
No, Justin, I've never asked him to unload the dishwasher. I've never asked him to clean up after himself. I've never asked him to take out trash. Like, we both, if we see it, we do it. Like, it is a team. I don't ask Justin, like, oh, can you like wipe the fridge or can you clean the counters? Well, he just does that. But if I asked him to do something, I would never have to redo it because he did it so bad, something so basic.
So I think that's the conversation you need to have. And if he's not going to step up to the plate and be that person, you got to dump the dude.
And I don't know, maybe that's unfair. Like, maybe you guys listening out there, like maybe you have partners that didn't learn how to clean. Maybe they went from their mom's house to your house, and maybe you did have to teach them how to clean and do their laundry. So maybe there's other people out there that have experience and can help her. But for me, I think there's some warning signs. So if he really doesn't step up, you need to stop picking up his slack unless you want to forever.
There are definitely warning signs. I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just, the little bit of hope that I have is that he has improved.
Yeah.
And it has, he hasn't turned her place into what his was. And he recognizes the fact of how that was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to the details, which we don't have. I know we have a lot here. You did very well explaining. You gave us a lot to work with.
Picture.
But we don't know what it's like to be a fly on that wall and watch him actually attempt to do these tasks.
I know.
Is it weaponizing competence, or is it just
Truly
I've
doesn't
never learned to do it right, and that can be something that can also be improved upon. I don't think there is no light at the end of the tunnel because there's a bit of hope.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you want to risk it with this trip and the plants now,
take them with you,
or because it is the ultimate test. This is the best version of seeing that you can get, but the other best version of it is day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Because that is what the norm's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy if he would let it all go really to shit. And then on day 29 of the trip, he's like, all right, going to get everything cleaned up. And he spends 2 days straight cleaning. You come back, it's perfect.
I have this.
You just don't know.
I
Yeah.
have this vision, guys.
What's your vision?
My vision, the first thing I thought, she should put a camera in the place. And then I said,
Is
that keeping score, Jerry?
It might be.
It is. And that's where I kind of retracted the thought. I didn't say anything. But I mean, we all, for some reason, our gut feeling is going to tell me that this guy is going to fail miserably. And the question is, will he clean up 2 days before she gets home? And all of a sudden there's going to be things missing and everything that he fucked up, it's just going to be brushed under, under the carpet.
Yeah.
Or trashed.
And that's an answer.
My thing is, deal with the expectation before you leave,
mm-hmm.
and say, if you cannot do this and cannot be my partner in this, and I can't come home and know that we're going to have a beautiful home when I walk in, let's just call it a day now. Let him know the expectation. Let him know that, you're not his mother. You're his lover. And if he loves you, he'll respect this nest with all his ability. And if he can't, we're done. Let's not even waste the time. That's the accountability.
If the plants are really adding to your anxiety, you shouldn't have to pay for a plant sitter when you have a partner that you're living with and carrying a lot of the team with as far as rent. But you could do a plant sitter. You could bring the plants to your friend's place. When Lauren went to Argentina for a couple of months, guess who watched her plants?
And just have a friend come check in and borrow a jacket or something, a clothing item that they really want to borrow from you, but you're gone. So they're going to come in and grab it and check it out.
I mean, you can FaceTime regularly, as I'm sure you guys will do.
Yeah, but you're not going to be like, hey, show me everything.
I would. I'd say, show me my plants. They're my children.
Show me my underwear.
Okay.
I lay the expectation down, lay the accountability down, and have a partner. And if you don't have a partner, move on. This conversation to me is getting ridiculous.
Okay, we're moving to the next one. What was up with the underwear comment?
The underwear comment is that, I'm afraid who's going in my drawers with all this shit.
Oh.
I mean, this guy is letting, this guy's got to recognize that this is their home.
Yeah.
And he's going to take care of their home. I mean,
Okay.
we would all expect that with people.
Where's the bar?
Oh, you got to raise the bar.
Moving on. But update us. I need an update. I will not sleep well until I get one. So congratulations on your internship though. John Hopkins.
That's big time.
That's insane. Congrats. Do not stress about this. It'll all work out. It really, really will. One way or another, it will work out.
There's going to be growth.
It's going to be great. It's going to be so great.
And your conversation will make him grow. That's what's important here. We got to have growth.
Number 3.
You pushed me on. 3. 3.
3?
3.
3.
They don't have that in golf.
3.
Okay.
That's all harmonized.
No.
3.
3.
That was great.
Very good.
Hi, Morgan, Jerry, and Justin. I need your advice.
All 3 of us.
My 25 female husband, 27 male, hasn't been treating me how he used to. When my husband and I started dating 5 years ago, I felt so special. He would handwrite me cards. We were long distance the first 3 years, surprise me with flowers, plan dates, and just make me feel so loved through his actions. Flash forward to recently. A lot of things have gone away. He's constantly telling me how lucky he is and how much he loves me, but my love language isn't words of affirmation. Because of this, we had a conversation where I told him I wanted to be dated and surprised, even if it's just a movie night at home. I just want some effort on his end. Well, we got married in February, but decided to wait 6 weeks before taking our honeymoon to Southeast Asia. We left end of March and were there through April 11th. My husband mentioned how he wanted to help plan something for my birthday, which was halfway through the trip. I was super excited and said, yeah, of course. For context, we have a shared Excel to plan out the trip so we could both see the timelines of our plans. I constantly asked for his advice and what he wanted to do on the trip, but I never got a response other than, quote, I'm watching a YouTube to do research. After our wedding, about 2 weeks before we left, I saw nothing getting planned. No activity, no dinner, nothing. He's never really been abroad before, so I offered to help him with planning, but he said no, that he could do it. Well, fast forward to the week before we leave, and I asked him if he put the birthday plans in the calendar, and he said no. He thought about it, but never did. My husband is great, but he does have ADD and can be forgetful, so I mentioned helping, and he again said no. The day before we left, I asked him again, where he again said that he hadn't done it. At this point, I was frustrated because he hadn't done any planning at all for the trip or my birthday. I told him it didn't need to be anything crazy, but even a card on my birthday and dinner plans would be nice. I brought up wanting to feel special and not having to do everything. He apologized, and after our conversation, he left for the store and got a card. Forgot about that too. Then, when we came back, said we had a reservation. Well, on the day of my birthday, he gave me the card and we went to dinner. Now, this is the part I'm struggling with. He didn't get a gift or plan anything that wasn't deliberately asked by me. I asked for a card. I got a card. I asked for dinner. I got dinner. But nothing seems to come from him. So again, not wanting to harbor my feelings, I told him. He started beating himself up about it and said he would do better, but we've had this conversation before and nothing has made it better. I'm not sure what to do or if there is anything to do, but I'm really struggling with this. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Ideal outcome, I want my husband to want to make me feel special without me having to prompt him. Additional info, I can tell he cared because he beats himself up about it a lot, but it still doesn't change the fact that nothing has changed.
How do you inspire somebody activate inspiration with somebody, that they are inspired on their own, that they want to do these things.
I think they either have it or they don't.
Well,
Really?
I think he had it. What happened to it?
I don't know. It is really interesting to go from writing cards, surprising with flowers, planning dates, to just nothing, like the bare minimum now. And maybe marriage changed that. Maybe for him, he's like, we're married now. I don't have to work so hard. We're not courting anymore.
I have been in relationships where I was inspired and I wooed, and it fell out of bed. What made it fall out of bed? And the only thing that made it fall out of bed to me was, mutual respect.
Mm-hmm.
There was things that happened that might have been a little thing, but it got deeper, it got infected, and the feelings were not as deep as they once were because we didn't have that time, or something affected it that changed that relationship. So I really do believe counseling may be in order here.
To me, they seem very disconnected. I also think sometimes with people, you do have to let them fail. Like, you do have to get to a point where you're on this trip, your honeymoon, and you get there and he doesn't plan anything. He doesn't have a card even because you didn't prompt him. You do have to sometimes let people fail for them to check back in. But why is he not checked in already? I don't know. There is things like the 5-year slump. And I was like, I wanted to make sure I was on point with that because there's all those different things. 5-year slump, 7-year itch. There's those relationship idioms. I don't know. But the 5-year slump or 5-year fizzle refers to a period in relationships, often around the 5-year mark, where couples may experience a decline in intimacy and a sense of disconnection, often attributed to common relationship challenges like money worries, mental health issues, trust problems, and a loss of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, hey, we're married. We can be chill. There doesn't need to be all this extra effort. It could just be that, but that's not sustainable for a long-lasting, happy, healthy marriage.
I got a question for you. I'm going to stop you for one moment.
Okay.
I want you to think when, mom's birthday comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you always remember it?
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Because she's your mom.
Yeah.
She's got a place there. This woman is his wife.
Yeah.
There's a place there. You don't forget your wife's birthday. You don't forget not making a deal unless there's something else going on. And that's when I start thinking counseling.
Yeah. I mean, Justin and I we were talking about it in the car on the way back from bopping around today. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be 7 years this December. And we were just like, no.
Whole body, Jerry.
No itching over here. We're good. But we were talking about it and we're like, yeah, it is something we, especially right now, we are in such a busy period of our life that we do need to remember to make these conscious date nights and putting in effort. Yeah, you can sit home and watch TV and that's quality time, but you also need to go do something, whether it's going and having a picnic or going to a movie or going to dinner out of your house where you guys don't cook. Mm-hmm. You still need those active dates and that consideration towards the other person. And I think that is really important in a relationship to keep it alive. And I mean, she's telling him, I want this. My love language is gifts, not words of affirmation. And you can't force someone to check in, but therapy might be a good bet. What are your thoughts?
Well, the issue too, sometimes the only thing that'll inspire someone to recheck in is the threat of losing you.
Yeah.
Which also goes back to the boundary ultimatum conversation we had earlier, where it's not, hey, you're going to start doing this for me, or I'm leaving. You have to buy me a gift in the next 2 weeks.
Buy me presents, bitch.
I mean, that's what you're trying.
That would blow me right. I would walk.
That's fine, but you're trying to insinuate that without directly without communicating anything near that. It's more of and I don't know if you can necessarily re-inspire someone, because I think sometimes the only way, if it's not happening from within, is the threat of losing the person.
I know. And I don't, obviously, no ultimatums and no like actual threats. Like, I'm going to leave you if you don't give me gifts. Like that's us joking over here. But I think you can be very articulative with your feelings of, I feel like you don't necessarily appreciate me or whatever you're feeling when, you know, you don't really show up for my birthday. Like it feels like I'm an afterthought. And this was supposed to be really exciting. We were on our honeymoon celebrating our love. And, you know, my birthday was a great opportunity to do something really fun or special. And I just felt like I was an afterthought.
I feel that, how about this one? I feel when we were together in the beginning, I inspired you. And I'm not getting the feeling that I inspire you any longer. And I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, I think honestly, putting it back in his court, that feels like a good idea to me.
Well, a reminder is always good. You know, whether it's the chores around the house or whatever, if someone's slacking, a reminder is always
right. But I didn't say,
valuable.
You don't treat me the way you used to. I took it back to the fact I felt that I inspired you, and I'm not getting the feeling I inspire you.
I think that's a great way to put it.
And it's true.
Yeah. I know we have some therapists out there in this community. I'd love to hear your advice. I'd love to hear maybe anyone that's been through this. Like, how did you re-inspire your person? How did you reconnect? Because maybe it is both of you. Maybe you're checked out too and you're not even realizing, but you're noticing what he's not doing. So maybe it's both of you. But if you've gone through this, please put it in the comments on YouTube, because I'd love to know. This person would probably love to know. We'd all love to know.
Okay.
Number 4.
Now you can do it. Say it.
4. I, 30 female, married my now husband, 25 male, 6 months ago. After a string of horrible dating experiences, he came into my life to bring happiness and hope for a future when I had given up. A month into our marriage, we got pregnant and are now expecting twin baby girls. When I met him, he had a drinking problem and he smoked weed every day. I had nothing against what he did, but was not wanting that for my future partner, and I told him that. About 2 months ago, he started drinking again and smoking. I had forgiven him for his relapse because I believed marriage is a constant work in progress. Unfortunately, I don't think he can give it up, and I'm afraid that he will only get better at hiding things from me. If Morgan came to you, Jerry, with this problem, what would your advice be to her? Ideal outcome: do what is best for my babies.
If you came to me and said that there's an issue and it was causing a doubt for what you want for your kids and for your life, and you had a discussion before you got married, and this was committed that would not happen, and now it's happening, and you went back and you addressed it, and the person says you've given them a choice. You could have this life if you want it, but you can't have this life with me. Or you can go get some assistance so you can get all the help you need to not have this as part of our life. This cannot be a part of my life, and I'm not negotiating this back into our relationship. You've identified a bar. You've said where you didn't lower the bar, you didn't raise the bar. You've lived the bar that was there before you got married. And that's what you have to hold, because someone is trying to break that. That's not permissible. That's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
And people seem to think that once you're married, you're compliant, that you don't have to live these rules anymore. That is bullshit. You have to even have more respect for your relationship when you're married. You have to treat it with the most up care, almost like it's a piece of crystal. And if you drop the crystal, yeah, you can get the glue out. You can fix it. But Morgan, you know what the word is? It's that glue. It's going to have a scar. Remember
Oh, yeah.
The issue here is you are not going to move the bar. You are going to restate it. You're going to do it responsibly and say, this is something that's, we got to be together on this right now, and lick this in the bud right now. Because if we don't take care of it, it is going to be a deal breaker. And And because we're pregnant or because we're married, that doesn't change the fact that it's a deal breaker. Because I have to protect us. If you're not going to protect us, I have to protect us. And I need us both to protect us. And that, I think that's the conversation.
Yeah. I don't really think there's any other way to do it except for you address it head on.
Yeah.
You can't kind of, not passive aggressively, but you can't really try and lightly.
No, we're all adults
It's
here.
more just like matter of fact.
Yeah.
And, I get that people with addiction problems really struggle, and relapse is very real and can be very much out of someone's control for a significant part of what control they have over it. Considering everything, yes, you don't want a part of your life. And like, I think you said it beautifully. If that's the life you want, that's cool, but it's just not intertwined with mine at that point. So it's trying to inspire change from within them to say, what do I want? I can either have this, like how we've had it, and it's amazing, or I can go down this path. And if you make it clear and straightforward that that's the expectation and that's where the bar is set, then the ball isn't in your court and it's not you policing their life. It's just saying,
this is what it is.
This is where I'm at. And yeah, you have care and you love this person, and there's a lot of complicated feelings and all of that within the relationship. So it's you're delicate about it, but it's stern.
Yeah, there is a little additional info too. He is the sole provider for us at the moment. I have no family in the States to take care of me when I go out of the hospital. My mom lives in another country, but due to my twins being high risk, I can't take the risk of giving birth in a country that doesn't have the technology to make sure my girls are taken care of. He refuses to go to therapy or any type of AA meetings. And I think still you proceed with, as you guys have said, our lives, if that's the course you want, are not intertwined. We will co-parent. If you have to live under the same roof for a while to get on your feet and get working and be able to support them, your twins, and put them in daycare and whatever you got to do, like that might be what you have to do.
Remember, he is responsible too.
And that's the thing. Like, you can get a job, child support from him and daycare, and there's options for you to sustain yourself outside of him. But it might be a bide your time right now because of the position you're in. And that's just how it is.
And he's under the thought process, it seems, that because I am the sole provider, too bad, so sad for you. I'm not going to go for help. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
I don't have to do this. I can do what I want.
That's cool. You can, but I'm not going to be your wife anymore.
I'm not here.
And that's tricky. Going through a divorce it's tricky, but you don't have to stay with someone who is not going to be healthy.
You can certainly look at him and dead in the eye as he says this to you and say, okay, go be you, but I'm going to go be me. And we're not going to be under the same roof.
No.
And that's the reality of it. And you got to go probably start engaging now to be able to get yourself settled before these babies show up. And if you're high risk, we have no idea how far along she is.
I think about 5 months, given the context of the story, but there's, a lot of remote work and things like that. So maybe there's something you can do while you're at home, and then you don't need daycare, and, there's options, but it's definitely not, it's going to be an uphill battle for you. It's going to be a little tricky, but you can do it, and you will be a lot healthier and happier for it.
Absolutely. And you don't have to stay in this relationship because you're afraid to get out of it.
No.
You need to make that move.
Keep us posted.
And people out there that have gone through this, chime in for her. Tell her how you did it.
I know we've got a couple people out there that have really made moves for themselves lately. I'm thinking of our friend Amanda from our group T. She has just fought tooth and nail to get out and make sure she is good and her kids are good. So there are some of you out there who could chime in for sure.
Okay. We're going to roll on number 5.
Number 5.
Kick it off.
So I, 33 female, started dating Charlie, 36 male, on Christmas Day of 2024. We were work partners that took advantage of a Christmas break to form a relationship. We've now been in a relationship for about 5 months. We are now planning our wedding day for March 28th, 2026. The thing is, I am in my area that I currently live in because I got sober here. I've been living on my own for almost a year after being in a Christian program for 4 years. I feel like if I come clean to my community that I'm living with my partner while still being sober, I feel like I will be ostracized for it. Should I keep it a secret or should I be more open about it? Ideal outcome, me still being a person that someone looks up to even though I'm living with my partner before marriage. I don't want to be cast out from my group for living in sin. Should I be forthcoming of me living with my boyfriend to my authorities? I'm living in sin, but I feel like I would connect to more common relationships that are now apparent these days. Additional info, I live in Oklahoma, the Bible Belt. I feel like I'll either have to quit my faith altogether just because I'm living in sin, because I choose to live with my boyfriend before marriage. Truth be told, I don't know if I would ever marry anyone before I lived with them.
Smart.
Okay.
I think you have to live with people before you marry them.
Right, but she's amongst a community that has a different thought.
Absolutely, and is struggling with it.
So here's my question to you: is your sobriety and the group that you guys talk about your sobriety need to know anything more about your living condition? Does your living condition have anything to do with your sobriety or your conversations of sobriety?
I don't think it needs to.
So that's a decision you have to make, not anybody else. And if you don't have to disclose about your living situation because it has nothing to do with your sobriety or any part of that, then leave it out of it. They don't have to know. You're not telling a lie by not sharing it. It's just it's not relevant to your sobriety and what you're getting from being close and friends with them. If you find out that this is not a place where you can conduct yourself in that fashion, then there's other AA chapters. Go to a different AA chapter that's not connected with the church, and go with the practices. Take what you've learned. Take what the theme of your belief is, and migrate it.
Yeah,
but don't add more stress into yourself.
No,
because you're trying to comply and bend to their way of life. They've done a wonderful job. Through your belief in the Lord and the way that you've interpreted it and the way that you function through it, you've imagined you have succeeded in sobriety. You've succeeded in being healthy for yourself. And there's no need for you to go sabotage that if you feel that it's going to be a problem. If you have to migrate.
Yeah, I think that's a great solution. I think I picked this one because I think you, writer, need to think more highly of yourself. You've been sober now for how many years? You found an amazing partner. You're, planning a wedding over the next year. Like, you're doing great, and you shouldn't let something that's making you happy and you're enjoying doing and you're getting to spend time with this other person and get closer to them and learn more about them. You shouldn't let something you enjoy doing make you feel bad.
I got another one for you.
Okay.
If it's weighing this hard on you, you guys can have a small wedding just to go do the ceremony, get married. If you feel that's an answer for you, you've already said you wish to get married, and just go pull the trigger in God's eye, and then they can't bug you at all. You've addressed all these different issues, and you can plan your wedding to do the full-blown wedding or another ceremony, whatever you wish to do.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's always just about, I think the best thing in life you can do is just be so true to yourself and not hide anything to where, the people you surround yourself with, the different friend groups, your family, whatever circles you're in,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing you're hiding. There's nothing you're lying about. Because if you have to lie or not be your true self to
Then
fit in with a certain group,
That's horrible in itself.
then what is that? And what's the point? Yes, it may have had a really positive impact on your life, and you may highly value your relationship with all of these people in this group.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it just starts to cross the line when you feel you need to hide such an important part of your life and yourself.
I'm with you.
And
Yeah.
so I think it comes down to, it's your choice. What's the most important thing to you? And where are
Absolutely.
they on the hierarchy? But I will also tell you, the more you try and not disclose this, and I think
The more the
you
more,
end up slipping, and
the
the
more-
longer it's been, the worse it looks, and the worse everyone takes it. I don't know how everyone in the group dynamic will react to anything, and I also don't think it needs to be hey everyone, I'm calling a meeting because I have an announcement.
right.
It's just more like, if it comes up, it comes up. See what the reaction is.
Yeah.
And if that changes the whole dynamic, then you know what?
Migrate.
It feels like you're
Find other
evolving.
people.
It feels like you're growing, you're evolving, you're becoming a new version of yourself.
Yeah.
Follow it, lean into it. Don't let the past keep you from living your best life.
Yeah. I think if you get shamed or ostracized from your group for telling them and being honest with them, because thou shalt not lie either, if that were to happen for you doing the right thing and being honest, that is a control tactic. It's a manipulation tactic. And you don't need that. You don't need that. I just looked. Living with a spouse before marriage, sin. I'm Googling. I'm enlightening myself. And you have some pastors and gospels on here coming out and saying, well, technically, you can cohabitate together
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're not sleeping together. Then you're Gucci. That's what a lot of these pastors are saying. So you might be Gucci.
But I would also, just at the same time,
Don't put the pressure on
live
yourself.
the life you want to live.
Yeah.
What are your values?
You
Yeah.
believe
What
in
do
God.
you right?
You're
but
good.
What are you right? And what's your interpretation of it? What are the values you want to live by?
Yeah.
And live that way. Instead of holding back from all these things you want, just go in and honestly, it's just
Find your
living
flock.
your life.
There's so many different interpretations of faith and what people believe in and what they feel connects them to God and what living a good life is. Find your flock. Find your people. Just because this one helped you get to a great place doesn't mean you owe them forever. You can find the church down the road that maybe even still has a group that keeps you sober and has a community there, but more so aligns with who you are today.
I don't think a true community of love think you owe them anything. I think they might feel you owe God or whatever they might do their interpretation, but you yourself have to be comfortable in what you believe and what you feel. And having them cast guilt upon you is not a healthy thing or a thing of love. Guilt is not love. So I think that if something should come up and it comes out, it comes out. I always believe the truth will set you free. I've always believed that. It gets rid of any cloaking or anything else that you may feel. And just stand for what you believe. You're not hurting anybody. And you can say, look, this is what I believe. This is, we are going to follow through with being a couple. And if we feel we're married today and we're living that way, it's going to happen tomorrow. But we're planning for a wedding that we want to do.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys won't be judgmental. And if you are, then, and I don't feel comfortable with it, then I'm going to take what you've taught me. And I thank you for that, for getting me where I'm at. And I'm going to migrate and go forward. And I don't want you guys to, and I'm doing this not to punish you guys, but not to make you feel uncomfortable. Because I don't want to be bring any uncomfort to my community.
Absolutely.
I'll just find a community where I can continue to live a clean life and a life of health and wellness for myself and my future
Mm-hmm.
and for the people around me. And I think that's the conversation. And on that note, we're going to we're putting the golf ball back on the tee, and we're going to go for hole number 6.
Number 6 today. I'm a 31-year-old male who has been in a situation with a woman I love dearly. We met a few years ago, and the timing didn't work out. She got with a different guy and blocked me, and I moved on. About a year ago, we came back into each other's lives, and we started to date. But things got toxic fast, and she brought out a bad side of me, and we would fight and argue a lot. We have a connection that I have never had with anyone before, and my feelings are conflicted. I'm a single dad, and the weeks that I have my daughter, I'm more distant, and she gets hurt because I don't call her much because I'm busy with my daughter. She tells me that my daughter isn't a problem, but it feels as if she is a problem. I want to be happy and healthy with this woman, but I don't know if it's possible. Ideal outcome, just to know if I should give up and take some space apart or what the next move is.
It just feels like there's so much plotting almost. Like, what's the next move? It just feels like we're overthinking it and we're maybe trying to force this thing to work that is showing signs of not working. If someone brings out the worst side of you, that generally maybe means that they're not the best person to live the rest of your life with. I can understand having just an unbelievable connection with somebody. And a lot of times the people that are like oil and water have that unbelievable connection and just that wild, relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I think as much as that is acting almost like a little bit of a drug, where it's like, oh man, it just
act
takes
like a
over
drug.
me, and it's just this unbelievable. And
When your body is stressed, especially as a male, like the male love hormone is released by stress. And so you might have to rewire your brain a little bit on this one because it might feel good. It might be like a drug, as you're saying, but it might not be healthy. And you do recognize it, as you're saying. So you might have to rewire a little bit.
well, and I think the biggest part that stood out to me from this is, as much as that connection is so, like, it's just fire, everything is just crazy. The second your daughter's around is when you start to distance yourself. Yes, it may be a little early to integrate that, which is natural, but I'm just curious if you feel that you would do that semi-permanently,
Yeah.
where you'd want to keep them more at a distance because of the side of you she brings out, or what the context is there. But the second you kind of want to start shielding your kid away from someone, if that is what you feel kind of for the long run, then that also is a big,
It's a warning sign.
yeah.
Red flag.
You guys have got some hot passion working on with you. And it's the passion that is got you all mucked up. And it might be an idea to get some assistance. And if you don't have the ability of working it out without assistance, then you need to walk. If you want to give it a shot and you think that, and you're not able to work it out without assistance, get some assistance.
Yeah, I honestly think individual counseling for you would be super helpful. I think it's hard if, you haven't been in the best relationships to like determine what's a good, healthy relationship. But it's the fact that you do say, like, we started to date and it got toxic fast. When you have a kid too, you do need to take into consideration who you're dating. You don't want your daughter to be around you and her fighting or things getting bad. It's not healthy for a kid. It's not fair for a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's that bad after a year, I mean, it's tough, but I do think you might have to rewire your brain a little bit and really figure out what good, healthy love is. But it also seems like and you just don't want to let her go. But your person will be out there. You'll have the passion. You'll have the fun. You'll have the spark. and it won't come with the toxic side.
Well, he also hasn't, I mean, if he's been with her for a while and he hasn't introduced, his daughter to her and let them grow together, that could be a problem as well. So, I mean, I think there's some dynamics here that is kind of going like all over the place.
Yeah,
so that's
and
why I'm suggesting some
counseling. It would be great.
extra help.
That is a parent's choice when to bring someone they're dating into their kid's life.
Mhm.
Kiddo could be 3. And it's like, you don't want to bring a new girlfriend in that things are toxic fast and then your kid gets attached. So that is really respectable. And
I get it.
that is such a good thing because you don't want your kids to get attached to all these people and have issues. So I do think that's really great. But yeah, I mean, it can cause resentment on her part and all of these feelings, which necessarily isn't fair, but counseling could hammer it all out for you.
I think so.
I'll also say I've had friends describe relationships like this that they were in for a decent amount of time. And as soon as they were moved on and they found their person, they look back on this like, wow, yeah, it was crazy,
What
but
was I
we
thinking?
were not right for each other. It felt like it in the moment. Like, man, it was just so crazy. But now that I'm with my person, it is so nice to have good communication. We're calm. We with the kid, they're a great second parent. It all mellows out. And that's kind of what you want in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've known people to describe this and then see them on the other side and they're like,
Thank
oh,
God.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But keep us posted. Everyone today, keep us posted. I think we've sent it. I think we've said it after everyone. There's a separate link in the description. It's a separate form. You just go to that and hit update. And that's all I got.
Like my socks.
You got great socks. What are those, pickles?
They're pickles.
What does it say on the bottom? I'm kind of a big dill. Nice.
What does one say?
They say the same thing.
Jesus.
You don't read your socks before you put them on?
No.
You're wild.
Evidently. All right, guys, that's it. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for being here.
And we'll see you at the other side.
Yeah, we're
in the
headed to the backyard.
Yep.
And we hope you have a great morning and a great day.
And keep the bars high.
Bars high. Be kind to yourself, though.
And the big kiss.
Bye.